Hi guys, welcome back to Nairobi Legal Insights. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining the concept of promoters of a company. Basically, by the end, you should be in a position to understand who a promoter is and what duties do they owe to the unformed company, and also what remedies are available in the event that these promoters breach their own duties. When it comes to the topic of promoters, as far as company law is concerned, there are majorly three concepts you should have at the back of your mind to appreciate the topic much better. The first concept being the definition of a promoter. Basically, a promoter is a person involved in the formation of a company. As the company comes into existence, there are individuals who take up this responsibility to ensure that this company is fully incorporated. Now, as a result of the responsibility bestowed on promoters, then in return, they owe fiduciary and statutory duties to the company that has not come into existence yet. Now, an example here would be that in the process of incorporating a company, as a promoter, you cannot transact on behalf of this company that has not yet come into existence. So generally, what this means then is that should a promoter actually enter into contracts on behalf of a company that has not come into existence yet, what will happen is that the promoter will be personally liable for any contract that he enters into on behalf of a company that has not yet come into existence. Promoters have specific duties towards a company that has not been formed yet, and these duties could be fiduciary or statutory. And as a student, it is important that you understand each and every duty and also appreciate the appropriate remedy to be applied in the event that any of the duties is breached by a promoter. So for example, if we are to talk about fiduciary duties, a promoter is not permitted to make any secret profit or enter into transactions on behalf of a company that has not yet come into existence, unless, of course, he goes ahead to disclose the nature of any interest or profits that have been made in any sort of transaction. So, baseline, a promoter cannot actually enter into transactions on behalf of this company that is not in existence. So, what happens? Now, assuming we have company A that has been fully incorporated, it is now a legal entity, it is an artificial person, it can sue and be sued in its own name, it can own property, it can enter into contracts and even cancel contracts. So, what happens in the event that one of the promoters or the promoters of that company that were responsible for its formation actually made secret profit or entered into transactions that were never disclosed? Now, in this instance, because this company is an artificial person and it has its own rights and it can even cancel contracts and it can even sue, so what will happen is that the transaction in question can be considered voidable. And so the company can proceed to cancel any contracts that were entered way before the company was actually in existence by the promoters. Now, in the event that cancelling a contract or rescission fails to recover the value of profit that the promoter actually made to that extent, so even if we cancel this contract, we cannot recover the value of the profit. What will happen here is that the promoter himself or herself can be held responsible and they can account for any profits that were actually generated during the process of incorporating or bringing a company into existence. So by understanding the different duties and appreciating all the remedies, then you can be able to attempt any sort of fact-based question set with appropriate remedy to actually rectify a situation that arose as a result of breaching any of the duties by the promoters. This slide summarizes what I just explained, but the major takeaway point is Understand each and every remedy for breach of promoters' duties so that you know which remedy to apply to a fact-based question in the event that you are asked to either provide legal advice. So, we may have a situation where even if a company were to rescind or cancel a contract, it is really impossible to restore parties to their pre-contractual positions. You can't take us back to where we were before we entered into this transaction. Or even we may have third parties involved and their rights are also being affected. So what appropriate remedy are you going to be selecting to address this specific situation? So as you can see, if that happens, then of course a company can sue for return of profits. But the major takeaway point, like I stated, understand all the duties of a promoter and understand all the remedies and how these remedies apply to breach of certain duties. That way, you would have gotten a proper understanding of the topic of promoters as far as company law is concerned. The last key point on this topic is that a promoter cannot purport to enter into a contract with a company that promoter is going to form. And the reason for this is that that company has not come into existence, and so it does not have capacity to enter into a contract with the promoter. Remember that should there be any contract, maybe for payment of services that a promoter has provided, and that promoter proceeds to draft some sort of a contract between the promoter and a company that has not actually come into existence yet, what will happen in that specific instance, like I stated earlier, that company has not come into existence, and so it cannot contract. Companies can only contract at the point where they are fully legally incorporated. So have that point at the back of your mind. But generally, this is what the topic of promoters of a company is all about. By reading more on the case law, understanding different perspectives as far as cases that have happened are concerned, where promoters breached their duties, then you will be better equipped to address any question that may come from this topic. Thank you so much for watching this video. Consider sharing it with your friend. Should you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment on the video. And also you can follow our LinkedIn page at Nairobi Legal Insights. Thank you and see you next time.